Hello, everyone. Welcome, STL Sanford. I want to talk about the Buffalo Soldiers. This is Black History Month, but we need to talk about Black history every day, 365. Our young people need to understand the impact that Afro-American had way back in the Wild West days up until now. Yeah, we got some good things going on now, but we got so much craziness going on in our area, community, that it's ridiculous. We need to inform these kids about what it's like. Let's talk about St. Louis, for instance. From the 90s on back, St. Louis was awesome. Afro-American in St. Louis back then, man, we were close. We enjoyed being around each other. We didn't have to worry about all this stupid shooting that's going on. It is crazy how these idiots, when they want to settle whatever issue they may have negatively, they had to pull up a gun. What the hell's going on here? Why can't we just find a way to get along? I don't know what it takes for us to get back to the way we were back then. Because, man, being an Afro-American man was awesome. Every race loved us then because we had it together. We had the upward mobility, man, going to college, graduating, starting our business, man. We were on a road. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some young people that's doing the damn thing now. But we got so many of them, well, not really a lot. We got just enough that's doing so much negative stuff that it makes the whole race look bad. You can get a small band of people that can create havoc. And those small band of people in each Black community is creating havoc. Somehow we need to ostracize their ass and get rid of them. I'm serious. I'm sorry. Some of y'all may think I'm mean, but hey, I'm just sick of it. But anyway, let's talk about the Buffalo Soldier. Before I go on with that, at the near end of the video, I'm going to talk about a female that was in with the Buffalo Soldier. We had a Black female in there. It's at the end of the video. Check it out. Let's move it along here. The Buffalo Soldier got started in 1867. That's probably around near the end or after the end of the Civil War, because certain skirmishes were still going on. You know, it's hard to reach people. We didn't have the equipment to talk to everybody at the same time. So the word that the war has ended spread slowly. But anyway, the Buffalo Soldiers, all what they fighting force they were. The Buffalo Soldiers got that nickname from a great Indian chief, Geronimo, of the Apache Nation. Geronimo once said that one Buffalo Soldier was better than 20 of his braves. That's how much respect he had for them. And again, the reason why they was called Buffalo Soldier was because of their curly hair and the fighting spirit, because they fought tough like buffalo. And he admired that. What an awesome group of soldiers. But what I don't like is they're not in the history book. When I was coming up in school, no history book of the Buffalo Soldiers. I just heard about them probably 30 years ago. Also, you ever seen the movies of the Buffalo Soldiers? No. You didn't hear about them. They won't talk about them. There's a lot of things that are going on in this country pertaining to Afro-American that's not in the history book, and they don't want to put it in there. And the MAGA Republicans today make sure that it does not get there. But Geronimo knew what he was talking about when he said those soldiers are tough. And a lot of the American Indians hate the Buffalo Soldiers as of today because of what they did. The Buffalo Soldiers didn't do too much fighting in the Civil War because it came to the end, but they were some great Indian fighters. They were picked to protect the white settlers that was going to the American West, the untamed American West. That's where they wanted to settle. And the Buffalo Soldiers was protecting them. They also had a detail of Buffalo Soldiers that was protecting the railroad workers. I didn't know that either. These fellas, man, wow. Now, let me go back to the Civil War. Let's talk about that, Afro-American, the impact they had. You had 180,000 Afro-American slaves that wore the blue uniform of the Union Army. 180,000. Now, you look at some movies about the Civil War, every movie that you see had one black person in it. How is it that you can have 180,000, but then when you do a movie of the history of the Civil War, you only show one black person? Boy, racism is a bite. It really, truly is. Unfreaking believable. Now, these Buffalo Soldiers was facing a double whammy. They were Indian fighters, and then they got to protect themselves from the white settlers that they was escorting across the country to make sure that they would get through safely from the Indians. They'd make sure that the Indians would not attack them. And then at night, those same Buffalo Soldiers got to fight the white settlers, or they got to argue with them, call them all kind of racial name, and want to beat them up. Are you kidding me? You gonna beat up your protector? How sorrowful. You know, during the Civil War, they gave out whiskey to the military people on both sides, the Confederate and the Union. They thought that, well, if we give them alcohol, it'll kind of put them at ease at night. Some of those of you that fought in Vietnam War, does that sound familiar? Oh yeah, we heard about what went on in the Vietnam War, what y'all was getting, and it wasn't good. But anyway, they did this. The Union soldiers and the Confederate soldiers were drinking so much, they became very rowdy. They fight each other. They would go AWOL, desertion. They get court-martialed. The Buffalo Soldiers, they hardly do none of that. Their number was so low that it almost did not exist. No fighting, hardly no desertion. If they did desert, I understand why. I understand why. They went AWOL. I understand why. Because they were treated like dogs in the military during the Civil War. Treated like dogs. Got the dangerous position there was. Send them out first. Put them on the front line. Just like they did in the Vietnam War. They got dogged out. They really did. It's crazy. But anyway, those military soldiers on both sides, the Confederate and the Union, became alcoholics. Even after the war was over, they could not stop the bad habit of drinking. But the good old Buffalo Soldiers, upstanding Buffalo Soldiers, held themselves high and did not get to that point. Yes, my boys. Now, again, those Buffalo Soldiers fought Civil War that they don't talk about, the Indian War, and the Spanish-American War. Some of those Rough Riders were black soldiers, Buffalo Soldiers. Now, during World War I, they did not want the original Buffalo Soldiers to go over in Europe to fight. I have no idea why. Is it because they want to make sure that they lived? Because they know you go to World War I, chance of them dying is higher than it is in this country. So what they did, they sent them to southeast part of the country, Alabama. and Florida. And from what I've read, just like being in the war zone, white folks down there were so racist and treat them so bad down there. It's unbelievable. They down there building roads and bridges and getting attacked by Americans. Not over there in Europe getting attacked, but right here. Anyway, the original Buffalo Soldier didn't go, but they had a group of Afro-American in World War I called the Buffalo Soldiers. And then they had a division of Afro-American in the Army, a division called the Blue Helmet. I ain't never heard of them either. I didn't know that until this week, that there was a group of Afro-American in World War I, a division of them called the Blue Helmet, fought in France. At the end of the war, France gave those Afro-American soldiers medals of honor. They received all kinds of medals. They said them cats were some fighters. This country didn't give them not one. Not one. Racism. Racism. Now, President Truman was a racist person. He followed the ideology of racism. And then as president, he heard about this highly decorated World War I soldier who got attacked in South Carolina in 1948, I think it was, or near there. He got attacked. They beat this man and beat him till he became blind. A young man. They say he had done nothing. He wasn't drunk or nothing. The police chief, a white police chief, attacked him and beat the living hell out of him when the man couldn't see. So what President Truman did, he signed an executive order stating deseg in the armed forces and the federal government. You cannot refuse a man or woman because of their race, sexual origin, national origin, and sexual belief. He signed that bill that President Elon Musk and Vice President Donald Trump getting rid of it, put that under DEI. That bill 9981, that executive order 9981 that Harry S. Truman signed in 1948, Donald Trump is doing away with it. Oh, God, what a scumbag. What a scumbag. Anyway, moving on. Moving right along. We had a young black man, going back to the Buffalo Soldier, we had a young black man that was born 1858, went to West Point, graduated there in 1877, first black officer, and he graduated from West Point. Imagine the hell he went through. They treat that man so bad, they put up a trump-up charges saying that he was embezzling money from the military. Really? Oh, just how wonderful. How wonderful that y'all came up with that. How wonderful these scumbags. I mean, this is America for you. This is America. But you know what? I want to talk about this female that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Her name is Cathay Williams. Came to St. Louis. because of the war, the Civil War in her hometown. The video will let you know about all of that. I'm going to show that in a few seconds. She came to St. Louis and changed her name to William Cathay. 2 years, she went unnoticed as a woman. I'm going to let the video tell you about that. I'm not going to give away all of it. Check this video out about Cathay Williams, who later became William Cathay, a woman with the Buffalo Soldiers in the 1800s. Please hit that subscribe, share, and like button for me. Check out this video.
When it comes to black history in the US military, we usually hear about the men. Let's not forget the one and only black woman to ever serve as a Buffalo Soldier, Cathay Williams. Her story mixes courage, cleverness, and a dash of audacity. Born into slavery in 1844, Cathay Williams found herself amid Union Army life when soldiers took over her hometown in 1861. She worked as a cook and laundress, learning all about military life. By the end of the Civil War, she decided that becoming a soldier might be a pretty great job opportunity, if only women were allowed to join. But Cathay wasn't about to let something like being a woman stop her. She moved to St. Louis, changed her name to William Cathay, and enlisted as a Buffalo Soldier. For 2 years, she passed as a man, learning to use a musket, going on scouting missions, and keeping watch as a guard. Her secret life ended in 1868 when she fell ill and was forced to reveal her true identity. Despite the surprise, her superiors were impressed enough by her service to give her an honorable discharge. So, while she didn't get to fight in battles, Cathay Williams still made a memorable mark in military history, proving that sometimes you've got to bend the rules to break new ground. Meet Mark Matthews, the last of the legendary Buffalo Soldiers. This incredible man lived an extraordinary life and passed away at the impressive age of 111 in 2000.